This is the Transformers Generations War for Cybertron Trilogy Kingdom Voyager class Inferno. The figure is part of the second wave of these Voyager class figures for the Kingdom line. I picked up this figure from Hobby Corner. Let's get him out of packaging. And here is Inferno out of packaging. The figure looks amazing. You can clearly see that this mold was really intended for this character. All the aspects of the G1 Inferno are captured beautifully in this figure. Now, obviously, he doesn't come with these blast effects. These are Battlemaster Rungs blast effects from the Earthrise Battlemaster line. I chose it because if you put a little bit of imagination, they kind of look like something that would come out of a firefighter's a truck or firefighter's hose or nozzle or something like that. Kind of feels like it's a burst of water or fire suppressant that's coming out of the cannons that this figure has. And I thought it worked great. You see the colors looked amazing. I had initially thought that this was going to be made of that cheap plastic that we've seen with Trailbreaker and other Earthrise figures, but it actually feels very premium. It kind of looks cheap because it doesn't have that gloss that the other type of hard plastic that Hasbro uses simply have, but it does feel very premium, very heavy, and very solid. So I am very, very pleased with this figure. Let's have a closer look at this figure before we begin. He comes with a trading card, an Optimus Prime trading card, but this is quite different from the first one we got. If you peel off the packaging, it feels like it's the same character, but he's sort of kind of battle damaged, and you can see some of the other Autobots and perhaps Maximals in the background. You can see Airazor and Rhinox right there in the background, and there's Bumblebee on the other side. So interesting take on Kingdom Optimus Prime. It does come with other accessories. He comes with this nozzle, which is exactly the same one we got with Grapple. You can store this accessory right here in the back. You can flip out his fist like that. He comes with a blaster, which is exactly the same one as the Grapple gun we got. Also, he's got these hoses, the fire truck hoses, which are removable. You can clip them on here on the side of his legs. You can take them out if you want to. He also comes with a new sort of neck and head sculpt compared to Grapple. There's this whole assembly right here, the ladder assembly and this turret right here, as well as the neck. And the fins right here are brand new. He's got this trademark G1 blaster on the side of his head, or is on his neck. You've seen that in G1, and it's pretty cool. You can actually remove it if you want to. You can clip it on another port that has 5mm. It stays there because of the G1 homage to the character. Now, if you didn't already know, Inferno shares the same mold, relatively the same mold as Grapple. We've already seen Grapple, and if you enjoyed this Grapple figure, you're going to love this Inferno figure. And as I said earlier, the whole assembly of the neck and turret is different. They've remolded the head sculpt, but the gun is the same. The nozzle is the same. Instead of giving Inferno a sort of an arm or a grabbing arm, they put a nozzle, like a firefighting nozzle, because he is a fire truck and he is a crane. I'm pretty much impressed at how the mold has held up. There's hardly any mold degradation on this figure. All the joints seem to be very tight. The neck joint is still on a swivel, very tight waist joint. Shoulders go in and out, forward and backward. Bicep swivel, hinge elbow. Wrists go in and out because of transformation. The hips can go in and out, forward and backward. Thigh swivel, all the joints are still tight. Knees can ratchet forward and backward. And the ankle has a rocker tilt. All things considered, it's essentially the same mold, but a difference in character because of the new head sculpt and obviously the color scheme. And this is essentially classic Hasbro. This is what they did in the 80s. They would repaint a particular mold and turn it into a new character, and it's reflected now with these two figures. And for some size comparisons, here is Inferno, with a bunch of other Autobots from the Earthrise and Siege line. We've got the Earthrise Leader Class Optimus Prime, Earthrise Ratchet, Grapple obviously, and his buddy Red Alert from the Siege line. To transform Inferno, it's exactly the same as Grapple, but for the benefit of those who have not seen the Grapple transformation, we shall be transforming Inferno in this video. So first thing you want to do is remove the accessories. You can't actually leave the gun on here if you wanted to, but it's best if you remove it, because it's going to be part of the cannon right here at the end of the ladder, the fireman's ladder. The instructions also say to remove the hoses, but I don't think you have to. I didn't have to. I just rotate them this way so that they're not obtrusive, and they actually stay in that position in alt mode. First thing you want to do is you want to fold in the fists like this, that, and then what you want to do is fold the wings, or the wings the side of his neck. Go ahead and unfold this, and then you detach the neck assembly like this, and then this whole panel right here, it unfolds. It's actually much tighter on Inferno than in Grapple. I'm quite surprised they did that. They also fixed, it's a running change on the mold, they fixed these pegs. If you remember in Grapple, the pegs were a lot longer, and it had problems with some of the copies that were sold by Hasbro, that they tend to shear off if you plug it in too deeply into the bottom of the feet. See, and you clearly see the differences of the peg. This one is a solid, long, solid peg, while this one is a more snub, shorter type of peg. And if you still had a long peg, it would be dangerous to plug it all the way in. And as such, a lot of collectors, and like me in particular, I just transform it halfway. I don't really plug that entire peg all the way in. There's a way to shave it off and, you know, shorten it, but I didn't want to ruin or vandalize the figure, because I know I'm just going to make a mess out of it. But I am glad that Hasbro was able to repair that and fix it with a running change on the mold. So let's show it off. It will tab in nicely at the bottom of the feet. So fold these down, tab it in like that, and then you can safely tab those pegs in like that. And you don't have to worry about them shearing off, because they're short enough so you can easily peg and unpeg those pegs at the bottom of the feet. So very nice. Good job, Hasbro. Okay, go ahead and fold up the head so it's hidden like that. And then here, so with the Grapple mold, it was very tight on the pegs, but very loose and not as tight on this joint. For Inferno, they've reversed it. It's not as tight on the pegs, but here, another peg of doom in the making right here. It snaps in very tightly, that part of the turret for the ladder. And if you try to put it back and transform it back into robot mode, oh my goodness, it takes a significant amount of effort just to push it in, and you feel like you're going to break it. So what they fixed here, they made it tight here, and tight joints overall, even the knees and the arms. It's amazing. It feels like this was the first version of the mold. So this one's just going to stay like that. We'll fix the ladder after we've transformed the cab. The arms go this way, and the shoulders fold this way, and the other shoulder folds this way. And then the forearms, you are going to rotate them 90 degrees, and they're going to tab in together like that. And then these peg holes right there, they're going to tab onto these snub pegs as well, as you rotate that whole chest torso assembly and form the front part of the truck, the fire truck, the cab. As you can see, you didn't really have to remove the fire hoses. They stay there if you want to. Okay, and then these, unlike the Grapple, let me just put Grapple here so you can compare them quite easily. The crane extends periscopes quite easily, but for the ladder with Inferno, it takes another great deal of effort. I don't know if it's just my copy, but it takes some effort to just pull it out very tight, and then snap it in, and then pull it back. another great deal of effort just to put it back in. So telescope it like that, and then the nozzle, you can attach it right here, and it should be able to launch and put out some fires like that. So it'll stay like that. Okay, and then the gun, just like with Grapple, it's going to stay right here onto the side, and there you go. There is Inferno in his alt mode. It's actually a pretty decent fire truck. It's a wonderful, amazing rendition of the Autobot firefighter. I love the red. I love how everything is just a really nice shade of red. At first I was wary. I thought it was going to look cheap, but it doesn't. It actually looks and feels very, very premium. I'm very pleased with it. And now let's do a comparison with the Grapple. We should have seen me compare him several times during transformation. Essentially, I think the mold was meant for Inferno, but if you're looking for more bang for your buck or value for your money, I think the Grapple figure is a better toy, for that matter. He's got a lot more features, I think. I mean, I'm very partial to a crane more than a fire truck. When I was a kid, if I had to choose in the toy store, a fire truck or a crane, I'd always go with a crane for some reason. And I think there's a lot more playability with the Grapple figure versus the firefighter, the fire truck Inferno figure. Nevertheless, I think the Inferno figure, I think, is the better figure, simply because there's a lot more bias, a lot more nostalgia, and I've seen him more in the G1 cartoon than Grapple, and Grapple was obviously the repaint or the second version of the mold. But either way, if you are a big G1 enthusiast, you're going to want to get both figures because they're both amazing figures and amazing molds. And so some final thoughts on Inferno. I think it's a great figure. It's a wonderful representation of the G1 Inferno that we've all grown up with watching the G1 cartoon. I think Hasbro nailed it with this figure, and it seems like this mold was really meant for this figure. Having said that, I think both Inferno and the Grapple figures that Hasbro's released for War for Cybertron Trilogy are amazing figures. If you are an avid fan of the G1 Transformers and you're looking for a modern representation of both characters, these figures are a must-have. I'm going to give Inferno a 10 out of 10. I am very pleased with this figure and I highly recommend it. Best of luck to everybody hunting this figure down. Let me know in the comment section what you think of Kingdom Inferno. And as always, hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews. If it's your first time here, please subscribe. And if you want to help the channel out, please check out my Patreon account. There is a link in the description box below. Thanks for watching.